Okay, I want to shift gear a little bit for a second. Actually, perfect transition from the previous panel. We talked about technology, we talked about what we put in these projects. So, since the beginning of the day, very happy to be with you today. We talked about the key infrastructure projects we're planning on, getting them funded, getting them designed. I want to talk about what we're going to put inside. So, I work for Schneider Electric. If you do not know Schneider Electric is a company that does energy management and industrial automation. About 30 billion worldwide, 7 billion of it in the US. And I have the privilege to lead the power systems team of Schneider Electric, the power system business unit, which is about 2 billion business in the US with 7,000 employees. I know what you're thinking right now. This guy doesn't have a Houston accent, right? I confess I live in DFW Metroplex, very different. That's North Texas, done by me. And Schneider is big in Texas. Schneider is committed to Texas. We have about 3,000 people who live and operate in Texas today. 5 manufacturing facilities. Actually, last week we announced that our newest brand new investment is going to happen in Texas, in El Paso. We're opening a 160,000 square feet facility of production in El Paso, Texas. That will bump our number of headcount here close to 4,000. We use local vendors. We are committed to the state, and we're here to stay. We have 4 major offices between Dallas, Houston, Austin, and San Antonio, and we have a major distribution center in Athens. What does Schneider Electric do? Well, we execute all the projects we've been talking about today. We build electrical distribution equipment that powers the same infrastructure, the same building we've been talking about. 1 million buildings today in the world are powered by Schneider Electric technology. It is physically impossible for any of us here to spend 30 minutes on the internet without going through a data center powered by Schneider Electric. In the US, we operate the electrical distribution equipment for 50% of the worldwide data centers. And you're going to find us in every type of infrastructure in the US. Now, I'm here to talk about this massive opportunity we have in front of us. We've talked about it in the morning. Massive investment, massive amount of money to revive the infrastructure of this country and of this state. And I wanted to put some numbers. I know you know these numbers, but I wanted to put some numbers in front of us so we understand the magnitude of what is in front of us. These economic recovery objective of the government, this energy transformation objective, translate into billions of dollars invested in many different sectors of the economy. Broadband, we talked about water, we talked about port and infrastructure, airports. These are 5 years investment of money that are going to flow into these projects. And this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to think about an infrastructure that is going to be durably better for the next generations to come. Well, this investment for Texas, you heard this number already in the first part of the session. What these numbers for Texas means are equally massive. The current plan plans for 2.9 billion investments for water infrastructure, 1.2 billion for airports, 3 billion for the electric vehicle e-mobility transition of our state. These investments are necessary. These infrastructure investments are necessary. In the past 10 years, in Texas, from 2010 to 2020, we had 67 extreme weather events that we all went through just one year ago, by the way, that have impacted our state and our economy by over $200 billion of damages. So these numbers compared to how much is at stake is actually very reasonable. Now the key question out of this presentation that I would like to leave you with is when we invest this money, when we plan this next project, are we going to plan the same type of infrastructure that we were planning 5 years ago? There's some weird sound here. Are we going to do the same level of investment, the same type of investment that we were doing 10 years ago? Because if we do, we're just putting into the grid, we're just injecting more infrastructure, more need for electrification and for energy, without thinking, hey, how are we going to serve that? We know that the Texas grid is already under challenges from time to time. We know it. We've experienced it. And by the way, when I think of a grid, I'm thinking of electrical grid, but I'm thinking also of water grid, transportation grids. All these grids are challenged every day. You bring additional infrastructure, you just bring additional challenge to this grid. How do we solve for that? How do we solve so it's more resilient, what we just talked about in the previous panel? How do we solve so it's also more sustainable? We believe at Schneider that the answer is between two technologies. First, electric. Second, digital. Because electric energy is more sustainable by nature, 6 times more efficient than any other type of energy production. Electric allows you to control, automate better and faster than any other type of energy. Digital is key. We live in a new era. We are in the 21st century, and we know that data can power so many new things versus what we could do 10 or 20 years ago. Digital makes invisible visible. You can analyze how your equipment are operating, and you can figure out some modes of operation that you could not before. And this transformation is important, these two technologies are important, and they are happening right now. Actually, they have been 250 years in the making. For the past 250 years, we've been through 4 key change in transformation in technology. 250 years ago, we had electricity 1.0, mechanization, industry 1.0. Sorry for that. Then around 1870, we enabled new technology that offered scale. We could scale electricity. These are the years of Edison and Westinghouse. We could scale electricity and we could scale mass production as well. In the 1950s, we got intelligence, automation in the industry 3.0, and electricity became more intelligent, smarter, and greener by bringing these distributed energy resources into the mix. Now that's the part where it really becomes very interesting, because we are now seeing the next wave of technological disruption. Electricity 4.0, Industry 4.0. I'm sure you've already heard the term of Industry 4.0, but have you heard about Electricity 4.0? Electricity 4.0 is when you bring the past technology of intelligence and the scale together. It's intelligent at scale. You do the electricity IoT. Every electrical asset is able to share information. You can leverage this information to understand how your operations are performing. You can trigger efficiency. You can trigger savings. Overall, good for sustainability. And if there's one core message here, it's all of this already exists. This is not science fiction. I'm not talking about things that needs to be developed in the next 5 to 10 years. This technology exists. Simple sensors, simple gateways will bring this data onto the cloud. You will be able to analyze this data and take measure and take actions real time. All of this exists, but we're not seeing that often into the project being planned right now. Think about these projects on both sides of the equation, the generation and the consumption. Are we thinking the grid of the future? Are we thinking the building of the future, the industrial manufacturing site of the future? We all here represent either the consumption side or the production side. And what's even more interesting, when you bring both of them together, now you have a smart grid. You can balance consumption and generation in a lively fashion, and you can save a massive amount of money for the grid. Actually, a survey from last year showed that applied to ERCOT, a smart grid like this could save up to 5 billion just per year. So, out of today, I want to leave you with a couple of good practice, a couple of interesting questions that we collect from our customers. My ask to you is challenge the manufacturer, challenge the consultant through this question. We're seeing that when these questions get asked, the approach to the solution we developed, the approach to the project we build together gets radically different. We're seeing that happening already in the country today. I've shared a couple of projects, I will go through them in a second, but these are how we plan, how we spend, how we develop projects differently. For your next project, for your next infrastructure investment, think about, has it been future-proofed? Have we thought on the long term? Have we thought about what demand is going to be, whether it's a water project, whether it's an infrastructure, transportation, airport? Have we thought about what's going to be the demand in 10, 15, 20 years? Have we thought about this differentiation of equipment between analog versus digital? Asking this question, this is something that was done to us by the city of Phoenix on their water on their water facilities, and they completely changed the game for us. Together with the consultant, together with the different contractors and the manufacturers, we came together and built a solution that was future-proofed, that was planning on what would be the data collected and how we will be able to assess the amount of needed water on the frequency that we were not able to do today because all these equipments were not talking to each other, were not sending the data to the same place. Digitization. Are you asking today your consultant to think that the equipment you're putting needs to be digital, needs to be connectable, needs to talk to each other? By the way, digitize also poses the risk of cybersecurity. We want to address this risk. We're ready to address this risk. We're working with the government instances to address this risk. Have you thought about the digitized infrastructure? Are you asking for digitized infrastructure? Are you asking for the two-way capability of connection, sending data and receiving data? What's the software platform you're going to use in your next development? Resiliency. Oh, by the way, I need to mention, I will show it in a second, but we work with the airport of LaGuardia on this digitization, and the airport clearly said, hey, we need a way to consolidate all the systems into one place. We don't have that today. We need to have one central operation center that gets access to information that with our systems that will not interoperate. And they force all the manufacturers making these different systems. It's not only one manufacturer, they force all the manufacturers to work together on it. Resiliency. Well, we all can relate to the grid of Texas, the electrical grid, but not only the electrical grid, any types of grids operating in this state. Have we thought about how we make this grid more efficient? And last one is, in the room here, you have one of my colleagues from the infrastructure organization, which is a joint venture of Schneider Electric with the Carlyle Group to fund projects that will have an impact on the area that they serve. I will share the example of the Montgomery County. Montgomery County in the Northeast decided to resize and reshape their bus fleet facility, going all electrical. And thanks to the infrastructure organization, we were able to execute this project for them in a way where it's off balance sheet. So it's funded by the entity, and they get a fully operational fleet of electric buses that will serve the whole territory without having to fund the overall project. This is direct impact on the community, direct sustainability on the community. Sharing with you, so the 3 examples I just mentioned. This is a new Delta terminal in LaGuardia. This is a real project happening right now, and we're bringing technologies that, again, normally do not talk to each other together into one common platform. I'm sure that there's a lot of airport operators here that can imagine what all these consolidated data and analytics running on this data on constant time can deliver in terms of operation efficiency. This is the example of the Montgomery County that I was mentioning. You can see this is also real happening right now. We are delivering the equipment as we speak, and you have a solar project powering the bus facility of the county. All of this thanks to infrastructure of balance sheet for the county. I wanted to leave you with these thoughts of, hey, are we thinking an infrastructure project of today or the one of tomorrow? We're available for any questions. I think I'm at time. Please feel free to reach out through social media or directly to one of my colleagues. Thank you.